Hey, what's going on, you guys? My name is the Raptor, and welcome back to Who'd Win and Why. And this time we got Godzilla, the king of the monsters, going up against Sugar and Spice and everything nice, the Powerpuff Girls. Now, the Powerpuff Girls are known for fighting monsters just like Godzilla, gigantic monsters. But is Godzilla going to be proven too much of a challenge for them? Well, I guess we'll just have to find out. Now, I do want to say before I start on this episode that I do not know an overwhelming amount of I don't have an overwhelming amount of knowledge on these characters, or at least not as much as some of the other characters I've had on this show before. So I might get some information wrong, I might miss something that might be key or something, so if you have some corrections you'd like to make, please feel free to tell me in the comments below, because I really am not sure how much I really know about these characters, but who knows, this is what I have so far, this is what I gathered, so you know what, let's just go for it. So, who'd win and why? Let's find out. So first, let's talk about Godzilla. Now, Godzilla is the king of the monsters. We all know him. We all know that famous roar and, you know, his look and everything like that. And we all know that he's extremely strong and durable. But if you want to know some numbers, well, this is what this video is for. So Godzilla is extremely strong. He's strong enough to lift and throw a monster that weighs 100,000 tons. And that already is crazy. And he's able to throw him multiple times, this monster. I forget the name of the monster, but I know the monster's weight is 100,000 tons, and just if you guys want to know, Godzilla's weight is 90,000 tons, so he doesn't even weigh as much as the monster that he's throwing. 100,000 tons is 200 million pounds, and that is an insane amount of weight, and he's able to lift and throw this monster multiple times, meaning that under intense pressure, this is probably not his maximum strength, so at bare minimum, 100,000 tons, and that number alone is still ridiculously high. When it comes to Godzilla's speed, Godzilla isn't really known for being that speedy. In fact, generally what he's doing is he's standing in one place when fighting a lot, and he's kind of clumsy, so he's not really all that fast. So there are some instances where he actually can be fast, most notably when he's fighting other monsters. Now, Godzilla's fought a lot of other monsters before. Some of these monsters are actually able to move on foot at Mach 1.5, and some of these monsters are actually able to fly at Mach 4. Now Mach, basically, like Mach 4 means 4 times the speed of sound, and the speed of sound alone is 761 miles per hour. That's already the amount of 12 times a speeding car on the highway going 100 kilometers an hour. You know, kilometers, miles, not the same thing. But that's already still extremely fast, and for a regular person, the speed of sound seems instantaneous. Godzilla's reflexes are probably quicker, but, you know, just wanted to throw that out there. So fighting anyone flying at 4 times the speed of sound is already pretty good, I would say. He hasn't been able to do this all the time, but he certainly can if he's really under intense pressure. There have also been times where I believe he's able to, like, use his atomic breath in order to, like, lift himself up in the air and actually travel. I think that was in one movie or something, but that was very ridiculous. And the force needed to do that is actually really insane as well, but we'll get into that later in the video talking about the atomic breath. But apparently it's not that fast, but it's if Godzilla needs to get somewhere quickly, so we can assume that's quicker than his legs, you know, quicker than how he normally moves. And also, I believe he can use his tail to, like, almost, like, ride on his tail for, like, his drop kick or something, where he, like, almost goes back and then rides on his tail, and he seems to be going pretty quickly, so that's a move that he has, his drop kick. So he's not really all that speedy, though he has shown some instances where he can be quick if he really wants to. Now, his durability and his healing factor is where he really shines. This guy is so durable that he's able to tank lava, like having a dip into a volcano, and also being able to survive a black hole, like, actually surviving the other end. And remember, when you go into a black hole, your whole body stretches like spaghetti, and you're almost certainly gonna die. But Godzilla is actually able to survive a trip through a black hole, like, in and out, so that's crazy. And he's also been able to take a meteor head-on, a pretty big meteor if you ask me, and not be fazed by it at all, which is crazy. And that's just his durability. If something actually does manage to get through his thick hide, he has a healing factor which can actually allow him to heal from all different types of wounds. These are wounds that can range from, you know, like inside wounds, outside wounds that they penetrate through his hide or something inside. Like, I think even at one point in one of his movies, when Godzilla was seemingly killed, at the very end of the movie, I got this from a friend who helped me with this battle, so this might not be 100% accurate, but I believe his heart was actually still beating. It was, like, in the water, and it was still beating, and that was the end of the movie. So his healing factor, and he came back for other movies, obviously, so his healing factor is ridiculous. It's really going to take a lot in order to put this guy down. So his durability alone is crazy, but his healing factor adds on to that. When it comes to his atomic breath, now here is what he's most known for, his atomic breath. Now, his atomic breath, as I've said before, is like, it's extremely strong. Apparently it can like melt or burn through like almost anything, which is really impressive if you ask me. And he eventually got an upgraded version after absorbing a pterodactyl soul. I am not making this up. If you want to know more about that, go to the death battle, Godzilla vs. Gamera, if you want to know a tiny bit more on that. He actually got like his red spiral atomic breath, which is actually much more powerful. And I'm assuming he still has that now, so that's really impressive. An even more powerful version of something that can already burn or melt through anything. And remember, he has the amount of force needed to actually lift himself up in the air. And according to Death Battle's calculations, that would require 328 trillion psi, or pounds per square inch. And that is crazy. That's a huge amount of force, if you ask me. Now, Godzilla has fought so many different monsters over the years. He's fought King Kong, he's fought Mothra, who's like, I believe, a giant moth, and maybe some other abilities, I'm not 100% sure, but he's fought a lot of different monsters over the years. However, he does have his fair share of weaknesses. While I believe he can call on like electricity from nature, like lightning bolts, and use that as a lightning rod almost to be like a living magnet or something like that. Don't quote me on that. That's just something I remember hearing from Death Battle. I believe he is weak to man-made electricity, so that is something that some humans could use if they were ever trying to take him down. He's also been said to be pretty clumsy, and his regeneration does take time in order to work. However, this guy is still extremely strong, durable, has a great healing factor, is extremely powerful with his blasts, his atomic blasts, and can be pretty speedy if he wants to, and obviously has a lot of experience fighting different monsters. So he's called the King of the Monsters for a reason, and with someone with all these stats, this is definitely someone you do not want to get in the way of. Okay, so now let's move on to the Powerpuff Girls. So the Powerpuff Girls were made, I believe, with sugar, spice, and everything nice. I'm not going to go too much into the origin because I know I'm going to get something wrong. But I remember, like, a scientist, he created them, and yes, they're just 3 little girls, but you do not want to underestimate these powerhouses. They are extremely powerful. Now, I am going to go over each one individually, but before I do that, I am going to say the powers that they have all in common, because that is something that I think I should do before I go into each individual thing, plus there isn't much I feel I have to say for each individual Powerpuff Girl. So what I know that they all have in common, and this is going to take some time, because they're very versatile, they have superhuman strength, speed, durability, and stamina, and reflexes, pretty much superhuman everything. So even though they are tiny, compared to a regular person, they have an extreme level of strength and speed and durability, something beyond compare. So that is really impressive. Like, probably not anything, like, ridiculous. Superhuman is not, like, it's something that you have to interpret in different ways. You have to interpret, like, how strong really is superhuman for them. But like I said, compared to a regular person, they are extremely strong and durable. Now, their actual speed, like, the highlight of their speed comes in their flight. Now, they can fly at very high speeds. Don't quote me on this, but I do believe that I read that at very least, they can fly near the speed of light, if not faster, like at speed of light or even past that. Don't quote me on that, but that's what I remember hearing from multiple different sources, or at least from multiple different fans. So, because I haven't watched much of the Powerpuff Girls show, so I'm not 100% sure what they've actually done, but if they could fly at the speed of light, that is crazy, or at least near the speed of light. Going anywhere near the speed of light is an extreme speed. However, I don't believe they can do this by running, it's just flight. But even so, flying at the speed of light is ridiculous. They also, I believe, can survive in space and fly in space. They don't need oxygen, which is really rather cool in my opinion. They also have 3 different types of vision. They have X-ray vision, which allows them to see through pretty much anything, heat vision, which can melt all different sorts of materials, and night vision, which allows, sorry if you can hear that, that's my dog. So yeah, he also has night vision, which can allow them to see through, see in the dark. I'm pretty sure you could put that together. They also have superhuman senses, more particularly sight and hearing. So they can see very far distances, they can hear things from very far away, all that good stuff. They also have other abilities like fire generation. I believe some of them can even produce fire from their mouths. I think the fire is actually colored based on their colors. For example, Buttercup wearing green, it's actually green fire. I think that's how it works, which is really rather interesting. So yeah, they have fire production. I believe they also have tornado generation, which is really cool as well. I'm not exactly sure how they do that, but they can produce tornadoes. Not really sure of the size, but they can still produce tornadoes. That is still something they can do. They also have standard energy projection, which is again the color of like what they're wearing, and they can also make supersonic waves, bursts, and screams. And I probably left out a few abilities as well. If I think of any, I'll come back to them. But these Powerpuff Girls are extremely versatile. versatile. So it's no question that they're able to fight giant monsters. While it might be a challenge for them, they can still do it and they can still win in the end. And there have been other abilities that they've used, but I think those abilities are more so like one-off abilities from like one episode or maybe two, and those abilities I don't want to go into that much detail of because I'm not sure if that really means they can use all of them whenever they want. But those, you already get the picture that these girls are extremely versatile, like extremely versatile. But now let's move on to each individual Powerpuff Girl. So the leader of the Powerpuff Girls, I believe, is Blossom, and she is like the smartest thinker. She's like the strategist. She's like the intellectual Powerpuff Girl. However, she has been known to be somewhat of an overthinker. Sometimes she can overthink things and get stressed out, but she is basically the main protector. Like, she strategizes, and they have obviously had a lot of experience strategizing to fight monsters, as they've fought a lot of monsters before, but she is basically the smartest Powerpuff Girl, as what we've seen. At least that's what I've seen. She's the smartest Powerpuff Girl. She can come up with strategies on the fly, and, you know, she obviously has to run them by the other girls, but still, you know, she's the smartest thinker, from what I've gathered. And like I said, her main weakness is that she's afraid of letting people down, and sometimes she can be, she has an over-analytical approach, which can sometimes be good, but sometimes not that good when it kind of distracts her from fighting. So let's move on. So Bubbles is like the girliest girl of the Powerpuff Girls. She has been said to be the weakling. You know, like, she's kind of naive, so she's not really the brightest fighter ever. And both her friends and her foes think this way, even though they might not always say it. But she can be independent if she really needs to. She can be aggressive, although she has also been said to be oversensitive. Though remember, she's not someone you want to mess with because she still has all those abilities that I've listed before. And I believe each one also has some sort of special ability, which I guess I'll just mention right now. Blossom's special ability, I believe, is Ice Breath, which is really interesting. What is it? Bubbles, her special ability, I believe, is speaking multiple languages. I might be wrong with this, but this is what I remember. And Buttercup's special ability is actually curling her tongue, I think. Again, don't quote me on this because when I read this it seemed really weird, but you guys can prove me wrong if you want. But yeah, so Bubbles, she seems to be the most naive, but she also can be independent, and she is still obviously very strong, and again, she has had a lot of experience fighting different monsters. She's still not someone you want to mess with. And then finally we have Buttercup. Now, Buttercup is the most impulsive member of the group. She has been said to be the toughest, and she thinks on impulse rather than an over-analytical approach like Blossom, and sometimes this can get them arguing, but she still is extremely powerful. Sometimes her rage can get the best of her, as most people that sometimes, you know, like they think on impulse. This is just a general weakness that comes with all of them. But yeah, so she is extremely impulsive, and she's not afraid to throw all her might. She doesn't hold back a lot of punches. She doesn't pull her punches back. So yeah, that's mainly the main distinction. One of them is extremely smart. Another one is kind of sensitive. You know, Bubbles, she's the girliest girl. And then we have Buttercup, who's the toughest and, you know, really wants to fight. That's what I've gathered. And there might be more differences. There probably are, but not really any that I'm really aware of, nor that I think would make a really big difference in this fight. So those are the main things I really have to mention with Godzilla and the Powerpuff Girls. At least that's those are the important things I feel I know. And even though I don't know a lot about both of these characters, I do think I know enough to give an educated opinion. I think I know, in my opinion, I think I know who would win, in my opinion. And at least I know enough about them in order to do that, which is what this whole show is about. Now this battle, before I say anything, this battle is not going to be easy for either party, because both of them have extreme advantages over the other. However, I do have an opinion on who would win, and again, for all of you guys who know more about these characters than I do, you can prove me wrong, you can tell me maybe what I missed, if I missed something key that would change the outcome so drastically. However, in my opinion, I think that Godzilla would win this fight. And some of you may be thinking, how is he gonna stand up to their speed and other stuff that you might be thinking. And let me just say all their advantages that they have each other before you start typing in your angry comment. Basically each party has three main advantages over the other, surprisingly. The Powerpuff Girls, here are the advantages that they have: speed, versatility, and experience. Speed and versatility is clear, because even though Godzilla can fight monsters that can fly at Mach 4, which is still very impressive, they would not be, like, he would not, I keep saying they because I keep mixing them up, he would not be able to really, he has not had any experience reacting to someone going at light speed, because just for comparison's sake, the speed of light is Mach 880,991. That's nearly 900,000 times the speed of sound, which is crazy. Only fighting someone 4 times the speed of sound puts you at a huge speed disadvantage. So even though he can be fast compared to the Powerpuff Girls, he's not fast at all. Versatility, that's clear because, like, even though Godzilla is not just a hand-to-hand fighter, he can use his atomic breath. I believe that's, like, his main energy attack, and he really doesn't have a lot more than that. If he does, then I'm completely missing that. But, you know, they obviously have more energy attacks, the Powerpuff Girls, and they just seem to have, they have greater speed, and they're not lacking much in strength. They just seem to have, they're just all the more well-rounded. And also, you know, Bubbles is more intelligent, so again, more versatile, more well-rounded. She's probably going to come up with a better strategy than Godzilla could, because he's pretty clumsy. And lastly, experience, that's also no question. They fight monsters on the regular, giant monsters many times their size, whereas Godzilla has never fought anyone quite like the Powerpuff Girls, in my opinion. However, even though they do have those 3 advantages, Godzilla does have his clear advantages, which are strength, durability, and destructive capability. Now, strength is clear, because if he's able to throw someone lifting 100,000 tons, again, you can correct me on this, but I do not believe the Powerpuff Girls have that kind of strength. They are extremely strong from what I remember, but even so, I don't believe that they would be able to lift, like, 100,000 tons of force and actually be able to throw them. I don't think they'd be able to get even near that, in my opinion. I believe that Godzilla does have the overwhelming strength advantage over them. And durability, which kind of ties into stamina/healing factor, again, he obviously has that advantage. I just don't believe that their stats, the Powerpuff Girls, would be able to stack up to, like, I think it's like 355 feet or something, a 355-foot monster. I just don't think their strength and durability would be able to stack up to that, especially when you factor in Godzilla's healing factor. And then destructive capability, yes, the Powerpuff Girls are more versatile, I will give them that, but I just believe that because his atomic breath is now amped up, because after absorbing the pterodactyl's soul, and after, you know, just because it can burn through, anything, I just feel that even though that they are very versatile with their energy projection, Godzilla's one move of projecting energy is just more powerful. So yes, those are the 3 advantages that they have over the other. The main reason why I say Godzilla wins, though, is mainly just because of one advantage that he has, which is the durability advantage. Godzilla has been able to survive a black hole, lava from a volcano, and was even able to take, like I said, a meteor, head on without feeling a scratch. And I'm not even sure if the Powerpuff Girls would be able to, recreate a fraction of that power, in my opinion. I'm not sure if they would be able to do that. And even if they could, they'd have to do it, many, many times that amount, because it didn't phase them at all. A whole meteor didn't phase them at all. And even though they are extremely fast, and they are powerful, and they have fought monsters before, I just feel that with this guy's durability and this guy's healing factor, it's just not going to be enough. They are powerful. I'm not trying to downplay anyone. This is not going to be an easy win for either party, as I've said before, because they each have really big advantages over the other because they're so different. The Powerpuff Girls are so different to Godzilla. However, I just believe that with the durability and the healing factor, it's just... they are much faster, but no matter how much force they have, it's not going to be enough to get through Godzilla's thick hide, and I definitely don't believe it's going to get through the healing factor that allows him to heal from pretty much anything. Remember, his heart was still beating in the water, and he came back to fight another day. Now, originally when I thought about this episode, I was just going to leave it at that and hope that you guys take my word for it. However, I am going to see if I can actually come up with some numbers to try to figure out how much force would be needed to actually kill Godzilla. Now, I might have gotten some of the math wrong, and you can correct me on that. However, this number, in my opinion, is very lowballed, and it might be a bit hard to keep up, so I'll just try to say it as slowly as I can. So, as I've said before, in Screw Attack's Death Battle analysis, they said that Godzilla's atomic breath would be able to, was 328 trillion pounds per square inch, which already is an insane amount of force. And some of you may be wondering, what does it have to do with Godzilla's durability? Just stay with me. Now, this breath that he's using likely isn't his more powerful breath, which is the red spiral atomic breath or whatever it's called, because A, it's not red, and B, it just doesn't look that powerful, and I'm not even sure if he got that red atomic breath yet. I'm not even sure if he did. However, let's lowball this and say that that is the force, 328 trillion psi. Let's say that that is the force of Godzilla's most powerful version of the atomic breath. And again, you might be wondering, what does this have to do with his durability? Just stay with me, and I hope I'm not confusing any of you guys. So let's just say that his maximum output is that number. Now, in another battle, when he was fighting Space Godzilla, which is a more powerful version of regular Godzilla, apparently a few blasts were able to completely destroy the guy, like obliterate him, Space Godzilla. Now, I'm not really sure what a few really means, but let's just say it's 3. I think that's a good number, a fair number, a safe number to assume when saying a few. Which means that in order to destroy Space Godzilla, that means his durability, or his, like, I guess the over his durability, would be equivalent to 3 times the amount of force of his atomic breath, because we're assuming that the 328 trillion pounds per square inch is the amount that he was exerting in this battle since he's using the red atomic breath. Still with me? I hope you're still with me. I hope I'm not confusing any of you guys yet. But that's how much force I'm assuming that he's using. So multiplying that by 3 approaches 1 quadrillion pounds per square inch, which is crazy. That's absolutely crazy. It's something that I can't even imagine. I'm not even sure if you guys would be able to imagine that. But yeah, 1 quadrillion, that's crazy. And again, and here's the thing, that might be the maximum force needed to kill Space Godzilla. Space Godzilla is more powerful than regular Godzilla. Now, I'm not really sure how much more powerful he is. I'm not really sure what that means. I'm not even sure if that means that he has an increased level of durability. For all I know, Space Godzilla's durability might be the same as regular Godzilla's. However, let's lowball this again and say that regular Godzilla's durability is half as much as Space Godzilla's durability. And this is a lowball. Trust me, this is a lowball, because even though they were able to fight each other, and if Space Godzilla did have twice the amount of durability as regular Godzilla, it wouldn't be that much of a fight. So lowballing it again, let's say that he has half the amount as Space Godzilla's durability. This means that regular Godzilla's durability would clock in at nearly 500 trillion pounds per square inch. Now that number is insane. Now some of you may be thinking, well, what does that number even mean? And that's fair, because when you get into numbers like billion and trillion and quadrillion and quintillion and everything beyond, it's really hard to imagine how much that is, how much force that is. And the reason for that is because I don't believe we really have anything on Earth that can replicate that amount of force. So literally any force that you can think of right now, and unless you're thinking to comic books and stuff like that, in which case they might have surpassed it, but any force that you can think of that we have on Earth, this would be much, much greater than that. And 500 trillion psi is already insane, and that's under 2 lowballs. That's lowballing his atomic breath, and that's lowballing his durability. So it's likely much, much higher than that. And personally, I just don't think that the Powerpuff Girls can exert that amount of force, let alone, the amounts that I would have to make up for, in all honesty, his actual durability would be, maybe 700 trillion psi or whatever, maybe even higher than that. I don't really know, because I don't know how to measure his red spiral breath, and I don't really know how to measure his durability. That's why I took lowballs out of this. But that lowballed number is that's still insane. That's an insane amount of durability that he has with him. And then when you factor in the healing factor, when you factor that in, and that gives him an insane amount of stamina and regeneration along with that, I just feel it's game over in my opinion. So basically, let me just sum it up like this. Godzilla killing the Powerpuff Girls is very unlikely. It's very unlikely, and the reason for that is because they're going to be moving so fast, and the main reason why it's going to be unlikely is because of the speed. Moving near the speed of light is going to be ridiculously hard for Godzilla to keep pace with, and plus they're small, so it's going to be hard for Godzilla to actually hit the Powerpuff Girls. And just going back for a second, even though I don't really know how much force the Powerpuff Girls could exert, just because I don't really know if there's a real way to measure that, again, I just don't think it would be up to the level of 500 trillion psi. I'm sorry, I just really don't. I think that Godzilla's durability is just too much. But anyway, so yeah, it's going to be really unlikely that Godzilla is actually going to hit them because of that, because of their speed. However, even though the Powerpuff Girls can hit Godzilla all they want, I think actually getting past that durability and the healing factor and actually killing him is borderline impossible. I don't think it's possible at all. And when you have something that's highly unlikely and something that's impossible, you have to go down to what's going to be the eventuality. And the eventuality is either that the Powerpuff Girls are going going to give up and they're just going to leave, or Godzilla's eventually going to get a lucky hit and he's going to kill them. And like, even though like when I said the durability, I said like calculating this was mainly for durability, that also shows that his atomic breath is extremely powerful. Being able to exert at bare minimum 328 trillion pounds per square inch is crazy, and it's honestly something that, again, I don't feel that the Powerpuff Girls will be able to tank. It's just like, even though they have like superhuman strength and speed and durability and power, that's comparing to a regular person, and they do fight monsters, but from what I know, they have not fought a monster that's as durable and has as good a healing factor as Godzilla. And if they have, I don't believe they've been able to kill him. I just don't think they would be able to. Again, you guys can prove me wrong all you want, but that's just what I've gathered from it. So again, I feel that Godzilla is eventually going to get a lucky hit, and yes, he does need to kill all three of them in order to win this battle, but because I just don't think the Powerpuff Girls have the means to actually put down Godzilla for good, you have to look at the eventualities, and that's what I've concluded from it. So, in my opinion, the winner is Godzilla. So guys, I really hope you enjoyed this episode. I honestly did enjoy this episode, you know, figuring out the calculations, and if you want to correct me on the calculations or anything like that, if you found a flaw or something, tell me in the comments below. But I actually had a lot of fun actually trying to find out how durable Godzilla is, and I also had a lot of fun just doing this fight, because this fight is honestly something I'm not sure if I would have ever come up with before, but it does make sense. You know, they fight monsters a lot. I just feel that this monster is going to be too much for them. But who do you guys think would win? If you think that the Powerpuff Girls will win, please tell me in the comments below. I would really like to know, and you'd probably give me more information in the process, which is also something I'd really like to know. If you guys enjoyed this video, please give me a like. Comment down below everything I said before. I think when it comes to the next season of Who'd Win and Why, we still have one more episode to go of season 6, but I think I practically got the season, like these schedule done, or at least I know what battles I'm going to be using, which is good because that means I can release that video soon after the last episode of this season, which is good. Something I really like. That means we can keep moving forward. And if you could subscribe to my channel, guys, that would be so great. That would really help me out. I make these videos as soon as possible. However, sometimes it is hard because I have school and I have to limit myself sometimes because of school, but I do try to do it as quickly as possible because I enjoy hanging out with you guys, you know, like replying to your comments and everything like that. I really do enjoy that. And I hope you guys enjoy these videos just as much as I enjoy making them. So guys, thank you guys so much for watching, because your view is plenty of contribution. It really means so much that you're taking the time to watch these videos, because I know they are starting to get pretty long. So thank you guys for watching. Like, it really means a lot to me. And next time on Who'd Win and Why, the season 6 season finale, we got Thanos going up against Darkseid. It's gonna be awesome. See you all then.